Don't Look Up is a very difficult film to describe in words, which is how every piece of art should really be. If you can describe it in words, why make it? But it's definitely a comedy that made me laugh out loud when I saw it recently. And then it's got a lot of thought-provoking depth to it, just like Adam McKay's other films. But the time just flies by. It's one of those films that you just, so much happens, and you think, well, I came out of it thinking, was that like 3 hours? And it wasn't. It was much shorter than that. But there's so much in it. Not least a lot of wonderful actors and stuff. I don't want to really go into telling you what the story is, because that would take away the great delight that you will have, and indeed even I had, and I was in it as the story unfolded. Right away, he had me laughing and thinking, and then when I read the screenplay, I thought, yeah, I'd love to be part of this, whatever part, and he did indeed offer me the part of Peter Isherwell, which is quite far away from me, a tech billionaire, along the lines of someone like Elon Musk and these type of characters, the founders of these big high-tech corporations. It's not based on any one of them at all, but based on that kind of idea that we've reached a place with technology that we can solve any problem that's coming. Someone has supreme faith in that because it's proved correct in his life, and he's got the money to make these things happen. I've drawn all kinds of things. I can't even remember. I'm a cook who has just old jars and pots and pans all over the kitchen of my mind, so to speak. There isn't any rational explanation of where things come from. They all come through me. So even if I said I based this on this person, it wouldn't be that person. It'd be my conception of that person. We tried on everything, right down to shoes, hats, everything, and gradually this image started to emerge together. But I would say it was just as much her as me, playing and laughing and finding things that felt right. These jackets were incredible. They were worth like $3,500 for a little jacket, $4,000, unbelievable costs and things. I'd never seen clothes like this before. And then also in the hair and makeup, the fantastic. I arrive in the caravan, the trailer, and there's 3 different wigs, 3 different totally different wigs with a totally different character. Each one of the characters could have been good. And eventually, really, I asked her opinion, and she said, no, this white one, I think, is the one that's really, it just brings something out, and we agreed. And then, of course, enormous amount of makeup, including correcting my teeth, correcting my age to some degree, and other things. I say other things. I can't think what other things there were. But also in front of the mirror, the character. I'm sitting there for maybe 4 or 5 hours as we're trying different things, and that's very useful. And the character emerged there. So, yeah, I think because we had the time to do it, in the necessary kind of quarantine period before I got into the set and stuff, perhaps. I don't know. We just had the right amount of time to really cook the character. And these people who helped me, that's where the character was born. Well, it was very funny the first time I met Adam McKay on set. I went really to set to show him the look. So I had the wig and the makeup and the costume. Except I had my own, it was snowing and cold in Boston, so I had my own kind of ratty old moth-eaten overcoat and scarf on, to get me there. And it was mostly the face and the hair we wanted to show him. And no one recognized me when I came on set, though I've met Meryl and Kate. And Kate and Leonardo were doing a wild scene that's now been cut from the film. But they were laughing. And I came into this little room, it was in a hotel in Boston, and there was Adam in his seat, which travels everywhere with him, his old big executive rocker seat. And he's a lovely big man. And he's laughing and laughing, and Leonardo's there with him, laughing and laughing. None of them recognized me for quite a few minutes. he enjoys things very much, and he enjoys, he comes from improvisational theater in Chicago and then into all that kind of improvisational madness of Saturday Night Live, and having to come up with things on the huff and stuff. So each scene that I was in, and I got the impression that other scenes were the same too, had a little bit where he hadn't written it, and he would say to Mark, just, I don't know, make up something there. He would make it up like he hadn't been able to do it, which of course he could have written it himself 100 times better. But he wanted to leave in bits where we played and made up things. And so we would make up things. And someone like Jonah Hill, of course, is just so funny. I could hardly stop myself laughing on set. And he and Meryl were very, 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 very quick and good. They'd been going for a while in their characters. But that became most of the conversation after takes, actually. He would laugh at something and then say, well, try it this way this time, or try this way. So all the focus was put onto these little codas, so to speak, where we improvised. Well, the odd thing for me, the really odd thing I'll say, is that the character is written that he doesn't look at anybody, he can't look at people, he's too shy. So I arrived on set, can you imagine, my first scene with Leonardo DiCaprio and Meryl Streep getting off a helicopter and coming towards me, and I'm not able to look at them. Here, two of the finest cinema actors, and I'm having to just look away all the time and only listen to them. And I thought, they're going to think I'm a real bastard, that I'm a real crap actor. I don't even look at the other actors. So I think I even stupidly apologized and explained that it was my character wasn't able to look at people, and that was the only reason I wasn't gazing at them. I think he's just brilliant in this part. I grew up in the Midwest, and I just kept being reminded of Midwestern professors and teachers that I know, and their innocence about that kind of world of Washington, New York media, and their deep sense of morality, ethics, whether you agree with them or not, the deep sense of thought about it, particularly for this kind of guy, I guess, a university professor of great conscience. And but he has that difficult type of role in a story of being the one of saying something like, wait a minute, did you say that A equals B if red and yellow are the same as the quality of pi in the universe of dementia, or some weird, but I mean, that's not a very good sentence, but he always had very, very difficult sentences and scientific things to learn, and he always had to be the kind of everyman character asking questions of people who were much speedier and more informed and ruthless around him. And he brings that to life in a marvelous way. So he was very, very concentrated on set, mastering these difficult lines he had. And he'd been going for a few months, pretty much full on. I felt safe with Adam that he did encourage us to go to excesses and be quite wild and uncontrolled. And in this case, sometimes you can land up, really embarrassed by that. But in this case, he and Hank edited it down in a wonderful way. During the pandemic, of course, there were very particular situations and protections that we needed to take for each other's health and for the film to get made. This was the beginning of this year that I joined in January. They'd been going for a while. So it was pre-Netflix saying that everyone needed to be vaccinated, and it was, as indeed how I've made 6 films during the pandemic, with testing, regular testing, I think almost every day, masks, hand washing, and then whatever you were doing yourself in the background in terms of taking vitamins and garlic and all kinds of the old very good ways of defending yourself from getting ill. The bizarrest thing was being flown over from England to make the film in an airplane, and that we were the only 2 people in the whole of first class. We had 4 stewards serving us. They didn't even ask us to get out of our seats when we wanted to lie down. They just made up another bed. They could have made up 20 beds for us. They could have woken us up and put us in a new bed each 10 minutes of the flight. And we said, I think there were only 11 people on the flight, There goes my carbon count for the year. But I said, how is this working? How can you make this work? And they said the hold was full of salmon and vegetables. So I was like a piece of dead fish and a turnip flying over to Boston to make a film. It's a study of how we as in our evolved Western society, how we deal with information. This information, I guess everyone will know by now, is about a comet, and so it comes from the astronomical branch of science, and there's really I would it feels like he's covered every different part of society's reaction to these things with compassion, but also with a sharp wit of what might happen. I think, or you'll feel like when you've been to a nice restaurant, you feel, it wasn't only tasty food, it was nutritious food, and it's going to keep me going for a while, this film. I'm going to be thinking about these different moments. It's given me images. And as happens also, the images come into one's dreams. And so it is a bit like digesting good food, that it does enter into your psyche. And so I hope all those things, that's what happens for me when I see a good film. And if I can excuse myself from the experience of seeing this film, but watching everyone else and watching the film, I had that kind of experience with this film. I think so. We are facing a crisis very, very similar to this comet approaching. And as the scientists and environmentalists and, many people have been telling us, if we can address these things earlier than later, a bit like finding out you have cancer, you have a better chance if you get to work on it, changing your diet, changing your exercise regime, changing the stress in your life, making a different relationship with your body early on. You have the better chance of surviving cancer than if you've been carrying it around for a few years. And that's the same with the environment.